Good morning. So these are, I picked out 6 problems that I thought were the most missed. I can always do more of these. So if you have questions, that you're super stumped on, please let me know. I'm hoping that by doing some of these, it might clear up some other questions that you had, but hopefully this helps. So on number 6, they had a triangle, like an obtuse triangle drawn like this. And right here they showed that this was 13. And then going from here out to here, where this height came down, there's a right angle here. They showed this was 18. So this is the part that was shaded in that they wanted you to find the area of. Okay, so we'd write down triangle. We know the area of any triangle is 1/2 base times height. So the base of my triangle, this is probably where you missed it if you did miss this. It is the 13. It is not the 18. So only the shaded in part is what they're obviously asking me to find the area of. So my base should have been 13. My height should have been 7. And then when you multiply 1/2 times 13 times 7, you're going to get 45.5 units squared. All right, so that's how number 6 should have looked. All right, let's move to number 11. So number 11, look like this. I'm gonna kind of draw these kind of fast, so hopefully they're not too bad. So it looked like this. These were marked congruent. These were marked congruent. This was shown as 10.2. This as 6.1, and then they just put a 4 here. Okay. So because it has 2 pairs of consecutive sides congruent, this is a kite. My formula for area of a kite is 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. Okay, so my first diagonal, let's just do this long one, is going to be 10.2 plus 6.1. I'll even write it in there like that for right now. So 10.2 plus 6.1 is going to be my first diagonal. Now the second diagonal is going from here all the way across to there. If you remember, one of our diagonals is always bisected. So if this part's 4, that part has to be 4. So this diagonal is 4 plus 4. So we get area is 1/2 of 16.3 times 8. And then that area ends up being 65.2 units squared. So you guys should still have your work on these, so go back and just make sure these are the answers that you had, and if you didn't, where was your mistake? I know that's probably the hardest part in all of this, is that it's really the accountability is on you to figure out, do I know what I'm doing wrong? Are you checking your homework? Are you doing a good job of going through and checking it? I know that's hard. I wish I could be at school helping all of you. Okay, so this was 22. This was all shaded in. Okay, so we got a 10 centimeters here. We have 14 here, and we have 26 here. Okay, so this is a triangle plus a rectangle. So we have 1/2 base times height plus whatever you want to say here, base times height or length times width for the rectangle. It doesn't really matter, whatever you prefer. And then my guess is the triangle part is where we missed this one. So the base and height of your triangle have to be going off of wherever your right angle of that triangle is. So that means this side and that side have to be the 2 sides that I'm talking about. So my base is actually 10, but I don't know this. I don't have that number, okay? So that's where I have to use the rectangle. If this side is 26, then I know this hypotenuse up here of that right triangle is 26. So this is a right triangle. How do we find the missing side length of any right triangle? So it'd be like this. This is 10, this is 26, that's my H. So obviously you can do C squared equals A squared plus B squared. So 26 squared is 10 squared plus H squared. Whoops, okay. And then you can crank that out. So we've got 676 equals 100 plus H squared. We get 576 equals H squared. Square root both sides, and H is 24. So that right there should have been a 24. Now, if you're good with your Pythagorean triples, this is also a 5, 12, 13 multiplied by 2. I know not all of you maybe see that right away, but if you are, that is available to you. Okay, I still got to come back and get my dimensions on my rectangle, so that's 26 by 14. And then I'm just going to multiply all of this together. So this ends up being 120. This ends up being 364. So altogether, I have 484 centimeters squared. That is number 22. All right, let's go back up here. And let's look at number 23. So this one was in a coordinate, whoops, there we go. In a coordinate plane. I'm not going to redraw that for you, but I am going to talk through this. So this is a kite, which means the area is 1/2 d1, d2. And this was in a coordinate plane. I can kind of show you here. You see the picture right there? Whoops, it's a little blurry. Okay, so you just count your two diagonals. So this one goes from +2 down to -2, so that's going to be 4. And this one goes from -3 to +3, so that one's going to be 6. So my two diagonals, just by looking at them and counting them, are 4 and 6. So then my area ends up just being 12 units squared. Oops, is that blurry now? There we go. Good. All right, and then 28 was by far like the most commonly missed problem on the whole. It was the hardest too. It has this shape, which has 4 right angles, and it has 4 congruent sides. So what has 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides? That would be a square. All right, so we're gonna take the square plus on top of it, looks kind of crazy. This goes like that. This is also marked congruent. It almost looks like just a triangle there, and then we go down here, and these are marked congruent. So if you have 2 pairs of consecutive congruent sides, this is a kite. And that's going down there. Okay, so obviously the square is just side squared. That's going to be probably the easy part of this problem. So that's 6 squared will take up the area of the square. So the kite is tricky because I got to get both of my diagonals. And currently all I know is that that's 10, which makes this 10, and this is 6, and that's 6. So this one takes probably the most amount of work, I would say, on any of these problems. So the first thing I'm going to do is find this diagonal by looking at this right triangle. The right triangle that says 6, 6, and then this would be one of my diagonals, okay? So you can do a couple things. If some of you may recognize this as a 45, 45, 90, and if you're quick about that, you can probably go, oh, boom, that's 6√2. If you're like, what the heck is she talking about? Then you just go d1 squared is 6 squared plus 6 squared. So d1 squared is 36 plus 36. So d1 squared is 72. And that will get you back. And you could do a decimal here. It doesn't really matter. Or you could break this down and this would get you right back to 6√2. Okay? So one of my diagonals is 6√2. That one wasn't awful to find. It was still complicated, but not near as hard as this guy right here. So I have to find this whole length of this whole diagonal. Well, what do I know? I know now if this whole thing right here is 6√2, that these two little pieces are 3√2. 3√2 and 3√2. So I have two essentially right triangles that I need to find. So I need to find this on this right triangle. Can everybody see that? That's a leg. So for that one, I'm going to go 6 squared as my hypotenuse equals, we'll just call it x squared plus 3√2 quantity squared. So 36 is x squared plus 9 times 2, which is 18. So 18 is x squared. And if you square root that, again, you could technically go to a decimal, but that's going to be 3√2. All right, so this little part of it is 3 root 2, but that's not the whole thing. So 3 root 2 plus, I didn't really leave very good room. Now I gotta find this piece. So for this triangle up here, I've got 10 here, I've got 3 root 2 here, and we'll just call that y. Everybody see that? So I go 10 squared is y squared plus 3 root 2 quantity squared. So 100 is y squared plus 18. So that's 82 is y squared. I think that's just going to be square root 82. So y is square root 82. And that goes in right there. Okay. So when you crank all this math out, you're going to have 1/2 times 6 root 2 times 3 root 2 plus root 82, and then all plus 36. You should end up getting 92.4 units squared. That was definitely a challenging problem. Okay, last one. I know this video is getting kind of long. Number 30. A lot of people missed this. I think maybe it was just understanding the wording of this. So it says, you will frame a mirror as shown on the right. The width of each piece of the frame is 1 inch. Find the area of the frame. So I'm going to kind of hold this. Let me fold this here. Here's the picture. Okay, so just so you're clear on what they're asking you to find, they want this little bitty area of this little bitty frame going around there. Okay, so how am I going to get the area of that frame? Well, if I take the area of this entire thing and then take out the whole inside, like the whole picture, then I'm going to have the area of that little bitty frame. So the whole thing is 24 by 30, but the little part inside is 28 by 22, or 22 by 28. So this is just going to be, let me get that to zoom back in, area of whole rectangle minus area of picture, or mirror, sorry, it's a mirror that's being framed. So it's just base times height minus base times height. So the dimensions on the first one are 30 by 24. The dimensions on the second one are 28 by 22. And so this ends up being 720 minus 616, which equals 104 inches squared. Okay, I hope this helped. Please let me know if you have more questions, if there's more you tend to be stumped on, then I can make some more videos. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.